On a cold December day in 1991, a red flag came down from a high building in Moscow. Many Russians cried as the flag of the Soviet Union disappeared forever. This moment was more than just a change of flags. It marked the sudden end of an empire that had lasted over 70 years and changed the lives of millions. How did it all happen so fast? Just a few years earlier, people believed the USSR was strong and powerful. What went wrong, and who was behind it? The man at the center of this story is Mikhail Gorbachev. He wanted to fix the Soviet system and make it better. But instead, he changed everything. Gorbachev started with big hopes. He believed that the USSR could become more open, more modern, and more free, without losing control or power. Sadly, his ideas brought problems no one planned for. One man's dream to save a great union turned into the very thing that tore it apart. He was once seen as a hero both in his country and around the world. People clapped for him, smiled at him, and believed in his new ideas. But soon, things changed. Prices went up, food ran out, and people became angry and scared. They wanted someone to blame. Was Gorbachev a brave reformer or the man who caused a collapse? This question still brings debate to this day, because the answer isn't simple. In the chapters ahead, we will look deeper into Gorbachev's life. We will follow him from his small village childhood to the top of Soviet leadership. We'll see how he tried to change a system many thought could not be changed at all. And we'll learn what happened when he succeeded too well. What kind of person dares to move a giant machine like the Soviet Union? Keep reading to find out how one leader changed history forever. Mikhail Gorbachev was born in 1931 in a small village named Privolnoye in the North Caucasus, a faraway part of the Soviet Union with many farms and little comfort. His family was very poor. They were farmers who worked hard but had little to eat and few belongings. Gorbachev once said his family lived almost like beggars. He had a close bond with his father, Sergei, but did not have a warm relationship with his mother, Maria. Life at home was difficult and full of hardship. Mikhail's family followed Christian beliefs, but religion was not welcome in the Soviet Union. His mother and grandmother secretly baptized him in private. To protect him, they gave him the name Mikhail during the secret Christian ceremony, though his original name was Victor. His father's side did not follow religion. Religion was something that had to be hidden from the government, especially Christian traditions like baptism, which were seen as against Soviet ideas. In his early years, Gorbachev lived through great suffering. A terrible famine hit the country in 1933, and many people had no food and died from hunger. Soon after the famine, World War II began. During the war, large areas of the USSR were attacked. Families like the Gorbachevs felt fear and danger every day. These events made young Mikhail grow up quickly. He saw pain early in life and learned how hard life can be when food is gone and bombs can fall any time. Despite all these struggles, Mikhail was a bright student who made his teachers proud. He worked hard in school and helped during harvest in the fields. His efforts in helping to pick grain led to a special award, the Red Banner of Labor. This was given to people who made big efforts in farming or other jobs. This award helped Mikhail look different from others. It opened a door to study at one of the best schools in the country, Moscow State University. Gorbachev was also favored by something the USSR used called affirmative action. This system gave students from poor villages a better chance at education. His teachers supported him with strong letters. He was also starting to believe in the communist system at a young age and became a candidate member. So, at the age of 19, Mikhail left for Moscow with big hopes. He would study at the best university and begin walking the path toward politics and power. Moscow State University was the top school in the USSR. Gorbachev started studying law there in 1950 after winning a special award and writing strong entrance exams. He was not from a rich or powerful family, so some students looked down on him. They thought he was too simple and came from the countryside with strange manners. But Gorbachev worked hard and learned quickly. Over time, people saw his sharp mind and ability to speak clearly. He showed that he was more than just a farmer's child. While at the university, Gorbachev met a smart and kind student named Raisa Titarenko. They often talked about books, ideas, and the world around them. The two became close and got married in 1953. Raisa stayed close to Gorbachev for the rest of his life, not only as his wife, but also as his trusted supporter. She was always with him during political events and helped him think through hard decisions. Many people saw Raisa as one of Gorbachev's great strengths. During his time at school, Mikhail joined a group called Komsomol, a youth organization that taught Soviet beliefs and prepared young people for leadership. He rose quickly in the group and was chosen to lead his class. It was his first big job in politics and helped others notice his confidence and speaking skills. Joining this group and doing well in it helped Gorbachev enter the Communist Party. He became a full member in 1952, just 2 years after joining university. In 1955, after finishing school, Gorbachev moved with Raisa to Stavropol, a city in the south of the USSR. There, he started working in the local party offices. He worked on solving problems in the area. One of his first jobs was to speak with local factory workers and farmers and learn about their daily struggles. People in Stavropol respected his honest style. Unlike many leaders, he listened carefully and tried to fix both small and big problems in daily life. As time went on, Gorbachev took bigger steps in local politics. His ability to work with people and manage problems made his leaders trust and notice him more. He focused on farming projects and worked to make farms in Stavropol better. Good results from his plans helped him rise faster than many other young leaders. By the early 1960s, Gorbachev had become one of the top local party leaders. People already began to wonder if he could go even further in Soviet politics. As the 1960s and 70s passed, the Soviet Union kept changing. Gorbachev watched these changes closely and learned from leaders like Khrushchev and Brezhnev. Khrushchev's time after Stalin was called de-Stalinization. He tried to reduce fear in the country and gave people more freedom, which affected young leaders like Gorbachev. While Brezhnev returned to stricter control, Gorbachev gained experience during those years. He learned the limits of reforms and how leadership decisions worked. As leader in Stavropol, Gorbachev worked to improve agriculture. He saw that bad planning from Moscow caused low food production and unhappy workers. He helped build better irrigation systems to bring water to dry lands. With more grain being grown, the region saw good results and noticed Gorbachev's success. These achievements made him stand out. His hands-on work, strong communication, and clear plans gave him a good name inside the Communist Party. In 1978, Gorbachev got an important promotion. He moved to Moscow to become head of farming matters for the whole USSR and joined the top leadership circle. Living in Moscow brought big lifestyle changes. His job now affected the entire country, not just one region, and required close ties with central leaders. 2 years later, he joined the Politburo, a powerful group that made top decisions. From here, Gorbachev was seen as one of the rising stars in politics. An important person in Gorbachev's rise was Yuri Andropov. He led the Soviet Union for a short time and saw strong potential in Gorbachev's ideas. Andropov and Gorbachev had a mentor-student bond. Andropov guided him, shared advice, and took Gorbachev on trips to meet other high-level officials. This support helped Gorbachev grow his skills. With Andropov's help, he prepared for top roles, learning how to lead not just locally, but nationally. When Andropov died in 1984, there was sadness, but also questions about the next leader. Gorbachev began to act more in public and show his ideas openly. Although some older leaders still held power, Gorbachev showed he was ready. He worked harder, spoke with confidence, and gained trust in the Politburo. His rise continued with careful steps. He stayed close to people with influence, showed strong leadership in meetings, and avoided risky moves too early. On March 11, 1985, the Soviet Union got a new leader. Mikhail Gorbachev was elected as General Secretary at the age of just 53, much younger than past leaders. His election gave people new hope. Gorbachev looked healthy, spoke clearly, and walked with energy. Many believed he could finally fix the deep problems of the country. Older leaders had died one after another, leaving the population tired and worried. In contrast, Gorbachev brought a new kind of leadership never seen before in the USSR. Shortly after becoming leader, Gorbachev spoke about the need to change the USSR. He said the country should not only grow, but also become more open and honest. He introduced new ideas called Glasnost and perestroika. Glasnost meant giving people the right to speak freely. Perestroika was about changing how the economy worked. These ideas were not like old Soviet rules. Before, people feared speaking out. But under Gorbachev, newspapers could write freely, and political talks were more open. People were excited. Many saw Gorbachev as a brave leader who could fix years of mistakes. Some even called him a breath of fresh air after so much silence and fear. He walked among normal people, shook hands, and listened. These public visits were shown on TV, which made him popular both in cities and in the countryside. Gorbachev ended some old customs like the leader's special status. He said leaders should live and act more like the people they serve, not like untouchable rulers. In speeches, Gorbachev used friendly words about peace, growth, and working together. This created hope, but it also created pressure to move fast and fix problems now. His leadership style was modern. He asked for changes in schools, factories, and offices. He also pushed for new laws that let people vote for local leaders. Gorbachev wanted the party to hear people's voices. He believed that if leaders listened more and ruled less, the USSR could survive and grow stronger. He also promoted younger and more open-minded people. Gorbachev believed that fresh ideas were key to shaping a better future for the Soviet Union. In his early years, he removed old leaders who blocked change. He gave attention to those who accepted his reforms and wanted to help carry them forward. This made him both liked and disliked. Some said he was brave. Others warned he was moving too quickly and putting the old system at risk. Gorbachev began his reforms with a strong step: reducing alcohol use. He believed alcohol hurt work, health, and family life across the Soviet Union. He raised alcohol prices and closed shops that sold it. At first, many people supported this move, but soon other problems started to grow. People started buying homemade drinks, which were often unsafe. The state also lost a lot of money it used to make from selling alcohol. Another reform plan focused on improving industry. Gorbachev wanted factories to make better goods and give workers more responsibility. But many factories were old and slow. Workers had no motivation to work harder because rewards were not clear under the new rules. Instead of more products, the economy got weaker. Prices went up, and people saw that daily life was not getting better with these changes. With Glasnost, the media gained more freedom. Newspapers wrote about real problems, and TV showed protests that once were hidden. This honesty was new for the Soviet people. They began to speak up more openly, asking hard questions about leaders and past mistakes. But this openness also brought fear. People became less sure if the system could be saved when they learned how deep the problems were. Then in April 1986, a terrible accident happened. The Chernobyl nuclear plant exploded. It was one of the worst disasters in world history. At first, Soviet officials tried to keep the accident secret, but after radiation was found in other countries, the truth had to come out. Chernobyl destroyed trust. Many now felt the government cared more about its image than about the safety of its own people or the world. The Chernobyl event made Gorbachev question how the Soviet system worked. He saw how fear and control created bigger dangers. He pushed for more openness, but some top leaders still resisted. They feared too much truth would break the power of the Communist Party. Gorbachev wanted change, but others wanted to stop it. This struggle between hope and fear grew stronger in the years that followed. As the late 1980s arrived, protests across Eastern Europe grew stronger. People in Poland, Hungary, and East Germany began asking for more rights and free elections. Gorbachev made it clear that the Soviet army would not stop these protests. This change shocked other communist leaders who had always counted on Soviet military power. In 1989, the Berlin Wall fell. The symbol of division between East and West was gone. Countries once tied to the USSR moved quickly toward democracy and freedom. Gorbachev hoped removing pressure in Eastern Europe would help the USSR stay strong. But inside the Soviet Union, more groups began asking to leave the Union. Nationalist movements grew in places like Lithuania, Ukraine, and Georgia. These groups wanted independence and no longer trusted Moscow's decisions. Gorbachev tried to offer new ideas, including a new Union treaty to improve relations. But many believed it was already too late to save the Union. In August 1991, while Gorbachev was on vacation, a group of hardline leaders launched a coup. They wanted to take control and stop his reforms. They took Gorbachev's home in Crimea and cut off his communication. But in Moscow, the people and younger leaders like Boris Yeltsin stood up against the coup. After 3 tense days, the coup failed, but it showed how weak the government had become. Many now saw that the USSR could not hold together much longer. After the failed coup, more Soviet republics declared independence. One by one, they decided to leave the USSR and form their own governments. Gorbachev no longer had the power to stop this wave of change. Even the army and party leaders were now unsure who to follow. On December 25, 1991, Gorbachev resigned as president. That same day, the red Soviet flag was taken down. The USSR officially came to an end. After leaving power, Gorbachev did not step away from public life. He started a foundation to support democracy and spoke often about peace and human rights. He traveled abroad for speeches and meetings, sharing his views with leaders and the public. In the West, many saw him as the man who helped end the Cold War. He also wrote books and gave interviews where he explained his actions. Though not powerful anymore, he continued to speak about the need for open and fair systems. At home in Russia, people had mixed feelings about him. Some respected his efforts, but others blamed him for the collapse of the USSR and economic struggles. He tried to return to politics in 1996 when he ran for president. However, he received very few votes and lost, showing his low support among Russians. Though admired worldwide, many in his own country felt angry or disappointed. They believed he brought pain, not progress, during his time as leader. Gorbachev's personal life also changed after power. In 1999, he lost his wife, Raisa, to a serious illness. Her death brought him deep sadness and loneliness. They had shared their lives closely for many years. Raisa had always traveled with him and helped in discussions and public matters. Without her, he appeared less active. He spoke of her often and said her support had helped him in his hardest moments and biggest decisions. Over time, more historians began to talk about Gorbachev's legacy. They agreed he tried to bring freedom and honesty, even if the results were not always good. He showed that one leader could try to break old habits and give people more power over their lives. He changed how leaders were seen in the Soviet world. Even with mistakes, many believe Gorbachev taught the world that peaceful change is possible and that ideas can be stronger than force. Today, Gorbachev's story is still studied across the world. Some call him a failed leader. Others call him a hero of peace and change. His life reminds us that trying to do what is right is not always simple, and big dreams can lead to both failure and success at the same time. Whether loved or hated, Gorbachev's choices shape the world we live in. His boldness opened a door to something new, even if it cost him everything.